Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Imprint uh, series on art and culture. And today in Indian visual arts, we're looking at CCRT. And we're going to start a new topic that is miniature paintings. So, if you think about miniature paintings, I think the most beautiful paintings were in the era of Jahangir, where he commissioned his painters to make paintings of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata made by the painters of Jahangir. And this is Sita, and this is Hanuman visiting her at Ashok Vatika, and Sita is not recognizing her. Look at the second painting, right? And this painting is the making of the Ram Setu. And the third is from the Mahabharata, and this is Arjuna, and he is looking at the fish image in the water. So this kind of tells you that the Mughal paintings, in some ways, are not uh, just Islamic, definitely, because you can see. So it kind of tells you the homogeneous nature of society at that time, gives you an insight there. I would say. Okay, but for I think we'll discuss Mughal paintings more later. I think we should move ahead and first start with the beginning of miniaturization in paintings. Now, what happened? So everybody should understand that the fact that mural paintings were expensive at the end of the day. Further, the books, were starting to be made, and in the books itself, there were need for paintings to make the person understand because the book becomes very boring without pictures. So in that era, also that was the case. Now, so in miniature painting, the first school is the Pala school in the 11th to 12th century, and is basically is illustrations to the religious texts of Buddhism, and this was executed in Eastern India, and Jain texts were executed in Western India. Okay, now I think this is something that you should all know. Which are the Buddhist Mahaviharas? So there's Nalanda, there's Odantapuri, Vikramshila, and Somarupa. Now, a lot of places you'll be asked questions about them. You'll be asked when they were made, who destroyed Nalanda, and so on. There'll be questions on which patron or king made Nalanda, Odantapuri, Vikramshila, etc. So you need to know about the Pala kings there. But we'll cover that in a different video. But let's continue. So, a large number of manuscripts on palm leaf relating to the Buddhist themes were written and illustrated with the images of Buddhist deities at the centers, and also had workshops for casting of bronze images. Now, these bronze images, right, were taken back, right, because students from and pilgrims from Southeast Asia, right, came to Nalanda, Dantapuri, Vikramshila, Samarupa. Right now, also we have people from Afghanistan, Iran who are in India to come and study at our colleges. At that time, Southeast Asia, people used to come to learn Buddhism for religious instruction. So they went back and took Pala Buddhist art as in the form of bronzes and manuscripts. And this carried the Pala style to Nepal, Tibet, Burma, Sri Lanka, and Java, Sumatra. Right? So there is a very strong influence of Pala art on Southeast Asia. Now, the Pala paintings, so what are the features of Pala paintings? Like the question comes. So the Pala paintings is characterized by sinuous lines, so a sine wave, right, kind of like this, and subdued tones of color. Okay, it's not that bright. It is a naturalistic style which resembles the ideal of the form of contemporary bronze and stone sculpture and reflects some feeling of the classical art of Ajanta. Now, if you look at the face patterns, the way the various Buddhist bodhisattvas are made, it tells you yes, it is similar to Ajanta. There is a manuscript of Ashta Sahara Prajna Paramita. And basically, what it means the perfection of wisdom. There are 8,000 lines in it, right? It was executed in the monastery of Nalanda in the 15th year of Pala King Ramapala in the last quarter of the 11th century. And this manuscript has illustration of 6 pages and also insides of both wooden covers. So, right? So these are examples of Pala paintings. Please remember in the answer, please may definitely write all this. Now, what about the Western school? We talked about there's a Western school in which there is Jain influence. So the Western Indian style of paintings prevailed in the region comprising of Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Malwa. And the motivating force for Western Indian art was Jainism, just as Buddhism was in the case of Ajanta and Pala art. Jainism obviously was patronized by the Chalukya dynasty, which ruled Gujarat and parts of Rajasthan, Malwa from 961 to the 13th century. Now, the Chalukya dynasty, obviously, you can look at these, so they made the Kalpa Sutra and a Kalakacharya Katha, which are very famous Jain texts, and they were repeatedly written and illustrated with paintings, and this is examples of that. Now, these have vigorous distortion. There is an exaggeration of certain physical traits, eyes, breast, hips, and lungs. And this exaggeration is still there in Rajasthani school of painting, if you can, right? So the Western Indian style, which was in Gujarat, Rajasthan in the 900s, right, is there even today. There is a art of, the primitive, vital, vigorous line, forceful colors, and palm leaves were used, right, for this purpose, and you can find them in various collections all across the world. Now, in during the 15th century, right, so this is 1400s onwards. So the Persian style of painting started influencing the Indian style of painting, and this is evident what has happened. Now, the facial types, the way the person looks to look at this, right? These are turning into Persian. So the looks of a person, right, is turning into Persian. And the hunting scenes are also appearing on the borders of some of the illustrated manuscripts of the Kalpa Sutra. There is an introduction of ultramarine, so blue color, right, you can see, and gold, right, you can see the gold here. Now, these have been started to be used, and this is the influence of Persian paintings. There's a very famous manuscript of Bustan of Saadi, which is there in National Museum, and this was executed for Sultan Nadir Shah Khilji of Malwa by Haji Muhammad Shah Suwar. Okay, right. So this is it. Then there is Nimmat Nama, and this is one of my favorite books. It's a medieval Indian cookbook, right? I think all of us in Corona days, we're looking for cookbooks, we're looking for videos. So during that time, we had Nimmat Nama, and you can see here is a example of painting. So this is the recipe of making a samosa, and this is actually a picture of how samosa is made. Okay, so various delicacies, recipes, sub accompanying paintings are illustrating the preparation of recipes. So here also we have some illustration here as well. Now, the finest example of the 1500s is the Kuladhar, the group. And these are the illustration of Chaura Panchika, the 50 verses of the Thief by Bilhan. Then there's illustration of the Gita Govinda and the Bhagavata Purana and the Ragmala. And obviously, right, this is what we have as the Ragmala. Now, the style of these miniatures is marked by the use of brilliant contrasting colors. So there's a lot of contrast. So there's black, there's green, there's red. Okay, this is not the case in right. Then vigorous angular drawing is there, right? There is transparent drapery. Look at this, right? Transparent drapery, which sign of seeing even in the Gandhara school of art we have this. Then there is the appearance of conical caps kulla on which turbans are worn by the male figures. The style of the painting is purely indigenous, derived from the earlier tradition of Western Indian art, and does not show any influence of the Persian or Mughal style. There's Manfrex of Lord Chanda, there's Avadi Romance by Mullah Dor. This is something that can be asked. So these paintings are from the Avadi Romance of Mullah Dor, Lord Chanda. Okay, so this is Lord and Chanda. Okay, beautiful paintings, I would say. Now, after the end of the rule, so the Mughal rule became very very strong. So from 1660 to the 1800s, we have the Mughal school of painting, and it's a landmark school. Okay, right? It is in some ways the corporatization of painting in the world. Akbar, right, was illiterate, but he had keen interest in the art and painting. He had taken lessons from in drawing, right, from Mir Sayyid Ali, Abdul Samad, and they were also employed by his father. Uh, right, even Jahangir was very well trained in painting. So the Mughal rule basically became the synthesis, right, indigenous style and the Safavid. So the Persian Indian style is the Mughal style. And the Mughal is basically marked by supple naturalism based on close observation of nature and fine, delicate drawing. So there is a very high aesthetic merit, but the paintings are purely aristocratic and secular in the first phase, at least. There is a very, very famous manuscript of Tutinama, and it is the first work of Mughal school. and this is there in the Cleveland Museum in USA. It shows the formation of the Mughal style. After that, we have the Hamzanama, and it contains of illustration on cloth consisting of 14 reliefs in 17 volumes. Each leaf is around 27 by 20 inches. The style of Hamzanama is more developed and refined than of Tutinama. So this is Tutinama. This is the story of the parrot, the very, very famous. I think a lot of people would have heard about this stories, right? And then this is the Hamzanama. There is also Mihir Dukt shooting arrows at a bird in a multi-stage minaret from the upper story of the pavilion. So those kind of paintings have been made. Now, miniaturization, right? What happens is in that the architecture which is shown is the Indo-Persian. The tree types are derived from the Deccani paintings, and the females are adapted from the earlier Rajasthani paintings. And women are wearing folk combed pointed skirts, transparent Muslim veils. The turbans by worn by men are small and tight, right? So that is there. So look at these turbans. So the small and tight. The Mughal school in time was influenced by the European paintings. The very European painters came, and Jahangir obviously was a patron. It absorbed some of the Western techniques like shading and perspective. The facial, like the if you think about Mughal paintings uh, after Akbar, right? What happened? The portraits became very, very clear. So look at this person. You can actually, if this person comes in front of you, you can actually recognize it. Okay, so it was used for that. So there were pictures made of every noble. Okay. The other important manuscripts during the period of Akbar are Gulistan of Sadi, which are there in the British Museum. Then Anwari Sulwaid, which is a book of fables, like Aesop fables, right? This is there in SOAS in University of London. There are a number of paintings and hunting scenes and portraits which are also executed during the period of Akbar. The list of Akbar painters are a lot of them. So a few I think you should know, right? So it is not just Persians; it is also the Indians. So Manohar is there. There's Inayat, there is Madhu, there is Dharamdas, there is Bhim Gujarati, there is Nanna, there is Kana, there is Basavan, right? There's Daulat, Mansoor, Kesu, etc. Now, Jahangir basically was the greatest patron of Indian painting, I would say. He had great fascination of paintings. There were delights in portraiture of painting of birds, animals, flowers. He actually commissioned an animal fable book called Ayyare Danish, right, which is in the Kovasi Jahangir collection in Bombay and the Chester Beatty Library, Dublin. And there is Anwar Esulwai, another fable book, which is also there in the British. So I would say amazing, amazing scenes have been portrayed, right, in these paintings. There, so in time, the Mughal painting, which are aristocratic and secular, did have a lot of Hindu influence, I would say. Okay. Uh, the Mughal painting in Jahangir region, let's look into that. So this is the most famous painting, I would say, of Jahangir, and this can come in prelims. So this is Jahangir looking at Mary. And so look at Jahangir, you can actually recognize him. So this is a difference between the mural paintings of Janta. You really can't recognize who were in that picture. But here you can very well say, okay, this is a person. So let's say I want to make a movie on Jahangir right now. So I'll make a person look like this. So portrait of Jahangir illustrates is a typical example of miniature executed in the period of Jahangir. And it shows Jahangir holding a picture of Virgin Mary in his right hand, and the portrait is remarkable for its superb drawing, modeling, and realism. So this is there. There's liberal use of gold, and this is also a Persian influence. And there's decoration with floral design. So look at this. Floral designs are there. There is text in Persian which is there around the border, right? Not really clearly visible, but it is there. Then, following the example of this, the courtiers, the provincial officers, they also patronize paintings, not to the same extent, but still there. Then, I would say, the most amazing paintings during Jahangir times are the paintings from the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, and this is, as I said, Arjuna, right? And this is Yudhishthir playing Josar, right? So this is from the Mahabharata. So some of the most notable examples of popular Mughal paintings are a series of Ramzanama, right? And a series of Rasika Priya and a series of Ramayana. So Ramzanama is the war, basically the Mahabharata. Now, look at this. This is Vishwamitra with Ram and Lakshman going to Mithila. Okay, so that tells you something, right? That tells you the secular nature of that time, that a Mughal emperor would, be fascinated about Ramayana Mahabharata, just like a Hindu would. So, an example from a series of Ramayana of the early 17th century in typical popular English Mughal style from the collection of right National Museum, New Delhi. It shows a fight between the armies of Rama and Ravana, and Rama with his brother Lakshmana is seen in the foreground to the left, while Ravana is seen in his court conversing with the demon chiefs inside the fort. Okay, the drawing is fine, but obviously it's not as refined, I would say, as an Imperial Mughal drawing. The human face, that demon types, etc., or in Mughal manner, the miniatures are marked by spirit of action, dramatic movement is there. So this is death scene of Dasharatha. This is Sugriv and Hanuman meeting Ram. This is the death of Trishara, right? So Rama. Then this is Hanuman meeting Sita and Sita recognizing it. This is the making of the Ram Setu. This is another scene from the Ramayana as well. Look at this. This is another war scene, right? So one of the princes of, I would say, Ravan have come and are fighting against Ram, that is. So what happened after Jahangir? So this was all Jahangir. So under Shah Jahan, the Mughal paintings maintained its fine quality, but they became overripe, right? Portraiture was given considerable, and this is the most famous paintings, right? And this is Jahangir on the top of the world, right? And so well-known artists are Bichittar, Chaitra Raman, Anup Chattar, Muhammad Nadir of Samarkand, Inayat, and Makar. Apart from portraiture, other obviously paintings are the group of aesthetics, mystics, and number of manuscripts are there. And then they actually made the Gulistan and the Bustan of Sadi again, right? So a miniature in the collection of the National Museum depicts the gathering of Sufis, Muslim divines, which are seated in open space and engage in a discussion. So these kind of Ibadat Khana type of paintings are also there. There is such a naturalism in the Mughal style, right? The drawing is refined and the colors have subdued. In comparison to Jahangir, it's not as bright. The background is green and the sky is golden, as you can see here. The floral designs are still there, I would say. But after Jahangir and Shah Jahan, right, Aurangzeb became a Puritan and did not encourage art. Painting declined during his period and lost much of its earlier quality. And what happened was the Rajasthan in the Pahari school started, and large number of court painters migrated to provincial courts. So during the time of Bahadur Shah, there was a revival of Mughal paintings, and there was a style has improved, but it would start deteriorating because remember, it retained the outer life, but the creativity was lost. With that, right, I think we end this lecture on miniature paintings. I would say it's a privilege to talk about Mughal paintings, and the painters inspire me every day. Thank you for listening. Do like and subscribe. Do go to our website and write to us in case you have any questions. If you want to join our various batches. And there's a YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to it. Thank you so much.